good morning, G. Even more egregious than that was the fact that he took a technical foul right in the middle of the game on a rebound, which was unbelievable to me. And that could hurt his team. That could have cost his team the victory. And again, I feel like we've been talking about this ad nauseum now for about 5 months about what's going on with him. He goes all Will Smith on you is what happens.
Yeah.
He snaps in the middle of these games. And it's not good. He doesn't play well at Madison Square Garden. I'm sure he's feeling the booze. I'm sure he's feeling the pressure from Obi Toppin. The fans want to see Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin had another good night last night. Played about 17 to 20 minutes, I think. The young guys are doing something here. They're playing with spirit. They're trying to finish the season on a winning and high note. But, again, I don't know what's going on with Julius Randle other than the fact it's almost like he's angry that Obi Toppin is getting all the love now.
Oh, he's totally jealous. You're right. And not only Obi Toppin, I think also R.J. Barrett.
Well, R.J. Barrett deserves it. I mean, R.J. Barrett is becoming a star right before our eyes.
Damn right he deserves it, but Julius Randle doesn't believe that he deserves it, apparently.
So, again, after, we went through that whole preseason thinking Zion Williamson, and, of course, we didn't get Ja Morant, who's turned out to be a great player, even though Memphis has got like an 18-2 record without him in the lineup. R.J. Barrett before our eyes is turning into a star, and the thing that I worry about when you start talking about young guys trying to find their place, trying to find their lot in life, how they fit into the team and how they act. Your leader is acting the way that Julius Randle has acted pretty much now for the 3 quarters of the season is not the guy that I want leading this team.
And, well, who's going to tell them or tell him that this is unacceptable? Because nobody on the team apparently can. I mean, it seems like he hates every one of his teammates. I mean, I remember him slapping away the hand of Evan Fournier when he tried to calm him down earlier in the season. Obviously, last night, he's not concerned at all about winning the basketball game. He's just concerned about whatever feelings that he has as he's throwing the ball and then walking off the court as his team is celebrating. I mean, he just does. There's nobody on the team, and I guess the coach doesn't want to do it either.
Yeah, well, the coach is in a really tough spot, as all NBA coaches are. They got to basically wet nurse these guys.
But this isn't Kevin Durant.
I know
LeBron James.
I know that, but I'm not arguing with you, and I don't want to argue with you over this. I think we just see it in 2 different ways. I'm just trying to explain the coach's situation and how the NBA is run by the players. And all these coaches, from Steve Kerr to Steve Nash and Greg Popovich and everybody else, has got to kiss the ass of the players because it's a player-driven league.
Yeah.
And when the players act out like this, there is really nobody that is going to be able to stand up to them, especially when they have a 4-year guaranteed contract on the horizon. So I would just tell you that there's really nothing they can do except try to move him this offseason. And I know what you're going to say to that. You're going to say that nobody's going to want him after he's been doing this. And here's the thing that I saw last night, and I think, when you watch the game and you listen to Clyde and you listen to the guys doing the game, you can hear it in their voice that they're frustrated for him. And his lack of confidence shooting the ball last night, especially as the game wore on, became more and more significant. And Tom Thibodeau could say whatever he wants about social media, could say whatever he wants about us talking about it, the guys that cover the team on a daily basis writing about it. It's obvious to every single one of us, and I know it's obvious to him, but he's in an impossible situation because this guy could totally snap. I personally think, it's time for a mental break for Julius Randle.
Sit him down the rest of the year.
Okay,
6 games.
Right.
Sit him down.
I don't know how you describe it. I don't know what you do with him. I don't know if you move him away from the team or not. And again, it's hard to say how his teammates respond to this because I don't think they'll really truly be truthful to all of us publicly, and I don't suspect that they should be. But I just internally, you could just, when you watch the game and he's not on the court, and Obi Toppin is on the court, and Obi Toppin is playing the way that he has been playing like the last quarter of the season, where he is the athletic kid that we got from Dayton. He's the guy that now all of a sudden now can shoot again.
Sure.
And he seems to be the long, athletic guy that you want running up and down the court. And by the way, Mitchell Robinson had another, really good game last night.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, giving him a new contract is something that I didn't think we would be talking about at this point in the season, but maybe it's something to reconsider. But I remember you used to talk so much about how Carmelo Anthony was a bad influence on Kristaps Porzingis. And, maybe that's why Kristaps thought that everybody should be bowing down to him, and his brother became a pain in the ass, and then all these things. He was skipping exit meetings, and, he went from young kid that could have potentially taken the city by storm to a guy they couldn't wait to get rid of. And I don't believe that R.J. Barrett is going to be influenced by Julius Randle's behavior, but I don't like the fact that Julius Randle is on this team when R.J. Barrett is on the verge of being a budding superstar, and you got this negative, terrible, anti-team influence bogging this group down. I hate it. I really do. Now, I'm not saying that RJ's going to turn into that. I think he's the total opposite player of that.
He is.
But I just don't want those two things coexisting right now. It doesn't feel right.
And the Knicks, hopefully Leon Rose, I'm really sure what Leon Rose is doing or what he's doing, and hopefully he's listening to us.
Where he is or
where
anything.
he is, what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's obvious to all of us. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's sad and it's disturbing, and it's obvious that Julius Randle has some sort of anger management issue, or there's a depression or something going on with him that
hasn't been resolved yet.
And it hasn't. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he's already had moments this year that really, really stick out, and you say, wow, I remember that, I remember this, I remember that. You would think that, okay, with 6-7 games left to go in the season, maybe I'll just try to enjoy it, and we'll try to look forward to next year, and I'll try to be the best teammate I can be. And that is the farthest thing that is from happening right now. I mean, that like last night was another outburst. I mean, and to me, more so than the end of the game where he whips the ball and walks off the court and seems like utter disgust as if they lost the game by 10 points.
Yeah.
When in fact they won the game and they won going away.
And everybody else is celebrating.
And everybody else is celebrating.
He's walking in the opposite direction of his teammates.
Yeah, to me, that the egregious technical foul when he gets a rebound, and in the middle of the rebound, he's yelling at the referee because he wants a foul called.
Yep.
I mean, it's almost like Julius Randle is a marked guy by the referees, whether it's real or whether it's perceived. It seems like every game he's getting into it with somebody.
I mean, here it is in slow motion and head down. I mean, the body language could not be worse. Head down, throwing the ball behind him, walking off the court in disgust, as you said. And for what exactly?
I
Because
think
not everything went your way with the officials in the game.
No, I think it's more about I think it's his own performance, which is very shaky right now on the home court.
And playing at home, maybe.
Well, because of Obi Toppin, and the fans are screaming for Obi Toppin.
Yeah.
And when Obi Toppin comes off the bench and he's sitting there waiting to come in, the fans are cheering for that. And, he's going in for one reason. He's going in to take out Julius Randle. So, believe me, I know I live kind of through this a little bit, not as much as a basketball player would, that because it's so personal and there's only so many guys on the court and 19,000 people. And by the way, how about the Knicks fan? There's 19,000 people at the Garden last night, and you're still 4.5 out of the playing game
with 6 to go.
That's amazing that the Knicks fan is.
They were loud last night.
But again, it's like they're out of it. They're done. I mean, they still have a very, very minute chance of making it. It's not happening. They've won 4 in a row for the first time this year. But the Knicks fan shows up, and part of, I think, Julius's reaction is to the fan base that wants Obi Toppin on the court, and it takes him off the court. And the Knicks have got a major, major problem.
So how do you realistically, in the offseason, rid yourselves of the problem?
You're gonna have to take
another terrible contract.
That's what I think they may have to do. Who knows? There may be somebody out there that may want him. I don't know that for a fact, but.
Nobody's going to want him unless they're getting rid of their own problem. I mean, It has to be a problem for problem type of thing.
Yeah, okay, so then you got to hope that the guy that they get, whoever that may be, doesn't negatively impact the guys that are sitting there. And it's usually a guy with a big money contract that expects to be the guy, expects to have the ball in his hands at the end to shoot the last shot for some cockamamie reason. Because it's ego-driven and it's social media-driven, as opposed to sharing the basketball and doing like what they're doing now. Like the one thing I will say, and I think Julius is cognizant of this a little bit now, all of a sudden here towards the end of the year, it's not as bad as it was early in the season where when they throw on the ball, it's bounce, 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 back in, bounce, 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 fall away and take a bad shot. There's a little bit of that, but
Are you saying dribble, 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 fat, fat, fat? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying fat because he's in great shape, but I will say that it's not as apparent as it was early in the season. It's still there a little bit, but I felt like, after he missed one 3-pointer where, it hit the it just wasn't even close. After that point in the game, it was like I gotta move the ball, I gotta pass the ball, I gotta get the thing up the court because this team is athletic, it's young, and it likes to run, and it wants to run, and it should be running because that's the way they should be playing. And I know Thibodeau likes to play defense, and it's all about defense for him, which I'm happy with. But I also know that Alec Burks is playing great. I don't know what his future is here, but it's a young, flying up and down the court team. And if Quickly's on the court, sometimes it gets a little, crazy. He gets a little nuts out there. But, he'll be better next year. They have to do something to remove what I believe is a negative impediment, and that unfortunately has turned out to be Julius Randle.
And it hasn't gotten better. It's not like this was something that happened in the beginning of the season and he was talked to and then he realized. Ever since the thumbs down to the fans, it's gotten worse. His behavior has gotten worse on the court.
And there are times on defense where he just does nothing.
No, of course.
And that's the thing. Like that wasn't who he was last year. Last year,
complete 180.
It was like he was hustling, he was leading. I know he was playing for a contract, and maybe getting that contract now and him struggling offensively has led to poor defense, lackadaisical defense, laziness on the defensive end, taking a lot of technical fouls, and then, as you said yesterday, walking off the court, the body language after the game. It was like a thing to the fans, like, you don't want me here. I don't want to be here. I don't need to be here.
Well,
it just feels that way.
Maybe he's the one who forces himself out. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, that's what it's going to have to be.
And the Knicks, I'm sure, don't want to be dealing with this. Maybe Julius Randle says, hell, I'll let's figure out something here so I can get out of here. Because I can't take it anymore for whatever reason that he has. I don't understand what reason that would be.
Well, I do. I understand. It's the fans are on him now.
But they loved him last year. And the reason that they're on him is because he hasn't played well. He gave him a thumbs down, and he's acted like a jerk most of the season.
Did you see the pass that he tried to throw to Jericho Sims last night? It was like a behind-the-back pass. It was at Jericho Sims' feet. And by the way, Jericho Sims is still trying to figure his way out on the NBA basketball court.
Sure.
And the last thing you do is you behind the back, throw it at a guy that size feet and expect him to come up with it. And It's a turnover. And you could hear kind of like the mumbling and the rumbling and the negativity coming from the fans. So I kind of think that Julius feels all that. And I know there's a mental block, right? There's something going on with him, and there has been for at least 3/4 of this season.
And no one's got an answer.
Well,
the coach doesn't have an answer. Julius doesn't have an answer. His teammates don't have an answer. Nobody has figured this out.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know this answer, and I don't think you know it either, but I'm going to ask it anyway because somebody out there has got. I know that a lot of teams have added performance coaches to their coaching staff.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like 97 basketball coaches for 15 guys on a team, for God's sake.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of psychological performance coach that is associated with the Knicks that could sit down and talk to this guy.
Well, that person is failing, whoever it is, if they have talked to him, because he's just gotten
there
worse.
has to be somebody there. It has to be a part of today's, sports world. It was not a part of it when I was playing, but now it's a big part of it. And I don't know if you're even aware of what's happening in women's tennis these days. You've with the Ash Barty retirement. You have a couple of gals right now that are going through personal issues. One walked off a court yesterday or 2 days ago, I think. And there's all these mental problems throughout sports. Yeah, and that's why performance coaches, sports psychologists, are much bigger and have a much bigger role with teams and individuals than ever before.
I'm looking at the Knicks staff. There's nothing under basketball staff or medical staff that would say that is the person that you're talking about.
Oh, they need to have one. They should have one.
The closest I get is to performance analyst.
That I don't know. That sounds more like a analytic guy.
Yeah,
there's got to be somebody that can help with the mental pressures and the seriousness of whatever's going on maybe in somebody's life.
Yeah, well, Julius Randle needs it. There is no doubt about it. and there was more evidence last night.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.